Hey guys, it's Levi Gates and welcome to DETALKS. With me, Mr. Dylan Von Kleist. How are you, brother?
Fantastic, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. And he brought things with us. So one of the great things he brought is wool pads, the new wool pads by RUPES, which is pretty awesome stuff. One of those things most people don't know is that, there's a generation of detailers that have never used wool.
Yep.
Which maybe they were scared of, or maybe it's because they used rotary, but these are actually optimized to be used on the
orbital tools.
Orbital and the melee,
yep.
Right? Which is pretty awesome. So now you can get maybe that cutting ability that wool provides, as well as its finishing ability.
Yep.
Which is a lot of people didn't know.
Yeah, quite a few benefits to it, and you're right. A lot of people are scared of it because wool is so tied to rotary.
Yeah.
And you talk about the earliest tool movement is rotary, right? And the first thing that you would pick up to use a rotary, I don't care if it was 40 years ago or whatever, would have been a wool pad. Twisted yarns and this big dish pad. And the knock on it has always been, it's especially old school wool is it's great for leveling paint, it carries high risk, and it hazes the snot out of everything, right? You basically can see exactly everywhere you went.
Yeah, it leaves swirl marks, buffer trails, whatever you want to, holograms, whatever you want to call them.
So with good reason, a lot of people are a little confused or scared by it because, somebody says, yeah, you should use a wool pad, and people are like, why?
Yeah.
Because better things have come along, right? And we saw, pre-polymer foams come into the industry, and foam pads are, obviously have their place, and they're still the #1 pad category. They're most versatile, I would say. Then you got microfiber more recently, and microfiber, just like everybody's using that.
Yeah.
Anybody who's polishing, especially with a random orbital tool, is using microfiber pads from somebody. So for wool to kind of make a comeback is like, And it's largely because we have adapted new technology to wool. It's no longer just a wool yarn sewn together and here's this big uneven hunk that you'd spin real fast. If we look at these two pads, so we have two different grades, right, in these wools, and I've got two different sizes here, and they come from everything down to little nano size, like little 1-inch suckers, which are awesome for the nano, all the way up to a 7-inch for the LHR 21. So you've got all that size range,
which is pretty awesome to be able to do.
Yeah, and so the two pads have two distinct things that make them different, right? We have the coloring, right? You got a blue and a yellow. The blue is the coarse, but if you feel them, the blue is a little bit more rigid.
Yeah. A little stiffer foam.
A little stiffer, doesn't have as much give, and the yellow's real soft. And that goes back to, we've had this discussion probably on DETALKS in a number of episodes, is we're just trying to translate that movement, right? The more of the movement from that 21 or that 15 that we can get down to the paint, the more work it's doing, right? So if we make a very rigid foam, translates more movement, puts more of that movement to the paint, more aggressive. Take a little bit of that movement out, and you make
it softer.
Make it softer, you kind of soften the cutting ability of that pad. Other than the foam interface, then we have the actual wool itself. So on the coarse, if you look real closely, you can see it's a dual density wool. So there's two distinct lengths and two distinct types of fibers put in there in a very distinct pattern. I mean, they're literally very, very patterned on there specifically. This gives us extreme amount of cutting power. I'm approaching microfiber in the ability to cut. Not quite as aggressive as microfiber, but getting up there.
Yeah.
But the benefit is that it cuts and then finishes with one pad much better than microfiber. Microfiber's knock is largely that it does haze paint, especially softer paints. Hard paints, it's okay on, right? So with a wool pad like this one, we can get almost as good cutting as we get with microfiber, but then we may not need that second step, or we're gonna need a less aggressive second step to remove that hazing or artifact from the microfiber.
Right.
So we've got the dual density wool there, both natural wools, just two different fiber diameters and lengths and all that stuff.
Which feels really nice, by the way.
And then we have the medium or fine here, and this one is all one length, a little bit shaggier, softer wool, and the quality and consistency of this is what really helps this pad. So this pad has a very homogeneous type of fiber, so they're all very consistent. Wool by nature is actually, if you look at it under a microscope, every single one looks slightly different. They're all unique because they're natural.
It grows
out of an animal, right?
Yeah.
But what we do is we go through a very painstaking process to refine these and get ones that are within a certain tolerance. They're all very similar to each other, similar as they can be, right?
Yeah.
So what that nets you is basically a very consistent cut. So this, I've actually used this as a one-step pad, which is amazing, because to think of wool as a one-step product, right, is crazy.
Everything's set.
So with the right compound, a one-step compound in this, I've been able to pull off a one-step. And I'm not talking like show-level gloss, so I'm talking 100% defect removal. I'm talking very, very nice gloss, no haze, and going, well, I'm happy with that. That's deliverable with that. So they both kind of got their spot in the line, but they're both awesome. And this thing is really, the course is blowing people's minds, especially hardcore microfiber users. This is really a game changer for a lot of guys. So I encourage anybody who's a microfiber user now, pick up a wool pad and try it. Try these wool pads, because it might be that missing link you've been looking for. Maybe you're just tired of cut with microfiber, finish with wool every single car because you have to do it. You might be able to knock it down to one, or you might have found a little sweet spot with this that, not saying it's going to replace your microfiber, but it might give you an option. You know, that other option in your toolbox that you can go, I'm going to try that wool pad and see what it does for me. It might be better. You never know.
Yeah, and like we're saying, it's that option in the toolbox that a lot of guys don't seem to understand, or a lot of detailers don't seem to understand. Not everything, there's no one solution.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we can give guidelines. Use these 4 pads, use these 4 polishes, and you'll get great results.
Yeah.
That may not always work, depending on the type of paint you're in, depending on the area you're in, depending on the humidity, depending on there's a ton of different outside factors, also depending on the tool you're using.
Yep.
So having a well-balanced set of equipment to be able to tackle all those things is a good thing to have. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's all well and good. It's expensive to have that many tools. Well, a pad,
this is not big
to
money.
add to your collection of pads, or is not big money, especially if you've got the tool. Add pads, add compounds.
If it saves you,
things.
if you say it saves you a half hour, maybe, because you didn't have to go back and do that follow-up step to do that correction. I mean, it's probably going to be more than a half hour, but would that have not paid for itself? I would say so.
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to, for me, it was, I had my tools, and then I wanted to upgrade tools, and I couldn't find a reason to do it. Well, I started doing a lot of old cars. And then I started finding I needed smaller and smaller tools to get into some of those cracks and edges and corners and shapes and rounds and things. And then once I started doing, we'd polish the dashboards, on the painted dashboards on interiors.
Yep.
And all of a sudden it was like, if only I had a 1-inch wool pad
there you go.
On a rotary setting.
I know where you can get those.
I wonder where I could get those from. Oh, hey, perfect reason to have a nano.
Yep.
And now having the ability to have wool on there just adds that much more. Now I could cut and I can finish and I can do this kind of stuff that wasn't available to me before. Now I can, now that I can do that, I can add more value to my detail and add more value to that service for my customer, to where they're like, oh my gosh, I've never had that, And so it's a lot of things like that that make that there's a reason that these technological advances are developed. And you can be the hater and go, it's wool, old tech.
Old
blah,
tech,
blah,
I use
blah.
microfiber.
Yeah, that's fine, go for it, but you're only hurting yourself, because if you can't, I just spent a week with Jason Rose listening to him talk about wool and how these are already out and on the market and available, and he's already working on the next way to improve those things.
Yeah,
because
the process never stops.
Constantly changing.
No, the development team, Jason and all of our guys, Market Inca and the whole team over in Italy that does the development, and Jason on the US side. When these came to market, anytime RUPES releases a product to market, you kind of there's a short pause where you just wait for the response. And then there's that immediate, okay, now what do we do next? How do we make it better, right?
Yeah.
And so seeing how popular these are, and once guys experience it, it's like, holy cow, I can't believe wool just did that. I mean, there's guys that are just losing their minds over it. And
like we said, there's a whole generation of detailers that have never used it.
Why would I touch wool? That's so old school. And just aside from even general results, I mean, the cutting and the finishing, some guys will probably watch this and go, well, if microfiber cuts better, then why do I need wool? It's like, okay, well, there's the finishing characteristic, because it's the job you have to finish, not the step, right? But also there is significant benefits just overall. These run substantially cooler than microfiber. I mean, microfiber is a heat generation monster. So this runs cooler. So if you're dealing on a very heat sensitive paint, you're trying to avoid swell, this is going to be a better choice than microfiber. It's also much less likely to hold on to paint residues. It's still going to. You're still going to need to clean these out, compressed air, a brush, something to release spent compound and paint residue. But unlike microfiber, this is not going to hold on to it and hold real tight. You can clean these very, very easily and get back to work. Microfiber, if you are not on it about cleaning it, it's picking up everything. That second panel, it's already loaded up and you're already starting to haze things. This isn't gonna hold on to things, and even when you do need to clean, it's gonna release them. So just from a standpoint of, okay, it's not gonna cause paint swell from heat, and I don't have to be so crazy about cleaning or having 50 pads so I could constantly be swapping out fresh ones. Those two benefits alone, okay, you go, okay, well, maybe wool is worth a try. Maybe I should give that a shot. And so you do have to be open to the idea that maybe there is a better way to do things.
Well, and one of the things too is, the old term is all the lint, the dog hair, the wool, the sheep hair all over the place.
Who shared a sheep in my shop?
Yeah, and like I said, we drew straws to see whose dirty job that was to break in the pads. But one thing about that Jason was telling me about these is that these have the lowest linting of any other.
Yeah, no,
wool.
there's a tiny bit when you first pull them out of the package. It's like the leftover manufacturing ones, and these are fresh. And I'm sitting here we're playing with these, and there's not like a big pile of wool.
Yeah, no,
there's nothing.
We've got an old twisted wool one over there.
Yeah, we can fill this place up with fuzz in a hurry, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the way they're constructed, the manner in which we put these together is that they just don't shed. So you have the little bit left over from manufacturing, which you clean your pad with a little bit of compressed air, brush it out before its first use anyways. Yeah. You should. It's good practice. But once that's done, no, you're not going to have the big, huge clumps of wool sitting up on the wiper cowl.
Like you just, like brushed a dog and let me put this on the hood here for you. Oh, there's dog hair.
I've always wondered how those old pads lasted as long as they did with the amount of shedding that happened. You think in like 30 seconds in, that pad should have just disappeared like a pencil eraser or something.
You blow it out, you blow it out, you blow it out, you blow it out, and you're like, okay, I think I got it.
There couldn't possibly be any more fibers.
As soon as you put it on the paint or you hit a curve, it's just like just explodes the rest of it.
Nope.
Yeah. You're tasting it, and you're eating it, and breathing it.
It's interesting because it's an old technology that's new again, and reimagined in a way and refined better. And
reimagined and used for the tools that everyone's starting to use now. Yeah. And the benefits are still there.
Yep.
So I'm excited, and I can't wait to play with some of these. So we're going to be doing that too this weekend while you're here. We're going to throw down on some hoods and play with these pads. Man, Dylan, thank you for coming.
Buddy, always a
loving
fun time.
this. So you can check more of these products out. You can check out the wool pads, all that stuff on the rupesusa.com website. You can check them out on Facebook, Instagram, Rupes USA. For more videos and more info and detox, make sure you like, share, and comment below. And of course, stay tuned for more videos right here on the Rag Company YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.